Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Takeout Effect, brought to you by Business Takeout. The Takeout Effect brings real conversations in business. I'm your host. My name is Banki, and today we have Daniel. Okay, his name is Daniel Faraldo, and he's been in the entertainment business for over 30 years, I would say.
This year marks 30.
Yes. So, tell the audience more about who you are and what you do.
Well, what's up, Banki? It's good to see you. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. Yes, I am Daniel, also known as Daniel Faraldo. My given name as an actor. I'm also a hip hop artist, songwriting teacher, MC, and most importantly, a father. And I said this year marks 30 because actually it's a couple of weeks away. On the 4th of May, technically speaking, marks my 30th anniversary in this business because I had entered a contest on television as a 13-year-old, Electric Circus, if you remember that show. And I won a rap contest on May 4th, 1991. So that started my foray into the world of music and entertainment and becoming a professional artist. And it's been a long ride, but it's also flown by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just amazing watching your videos. Starting back in 1991. Let's go back there.
Okay.
Because for a lot of people, they have special skills, special talents, and they are reluctant to really put themselves out there and really, take a leap.
Yeah.
1991, you won a contest.
Yeah.
Did a great performance with Lindo P.
That's right, Lindo P. Big up, Partners in Rhyme.
Yes, and it got you recognized as a hip hop artist. Can you take us in the journey of how it all started?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, an Electric Circus was a big show. For anybody who doesn't know, it was a Saturday afternoon program on City TV. It was a dance show, and they would play music videos, but people were there to dance. It was like an actual party in the middle of the day on television. And often they'd have hip hop performers. They'd have live performers. It wasn't just hip hop. It was dance and pop and R&B. That's actually how I discovered Maestro Fresh West. In 1988, he performed Let Your Backbone Slide on Electric Circus. That's how I became a fan. But in 91, they were hosting a contest, a rap-off contest. It was actually the second contest. The first contest, probably held the year before, was for MC Hammer tickets. And I didn't apply because I was like, nah, I wasn't an MC Hammer fan. But I remember that the guy who won the contest, a dude named Frank Morrell, he won the contest. And then months later, he had put out a music video. So when they announced the second contest, it was for LL Cool J tickets. And first of all, I was like, okay, I'm down with LL Cool J. But now my mindset was like, if I can win this contest, I might be able to put out a music video. So that was my thinking. So Lindo P, who had discovered me, he was already DJing like elementary school birthday parties. And that's how he discovered me. I just go to birthday parties. I was in grade 8 and I'd rap at these parties and he discovered me there. So we put together this demo tape. He got on the 1s and 2s and just mixed this beat. I recorded a song called Can't Test Me. It's just a bold battle rap, literally just talking about how you can't test me, little 13-year-old trying to be Big Daddy Kane with the high top cameo and everything. And we submitted the tape. It was a cassette tape. I'll never forget, to Electric Circus. Respect whoever said that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing my best to keep healthy and stay youthful. But yeah, I wrote on the tape, "Can't test me. Trust me, this is the winner." Like I was that bold that I wrote that. And so we were selected out of, I don't know how many, maybe 100 or so entries at the time. 10 of us were selected to perform at a club the night before the TV broadcast. 2 artists were chosen, ourselves. Lindo P and I were Partners in Rhyme, and Gifted in Black. Shout out to my man Gabre. And we were the 2 finalists. And the next day, live on television, we performed. It was a phone-in contest. No social media, no emailing. Phone in your vote. And we won. And this is on YouTube for anyone who wants to check it out. It's called Can't Test Me, Partners in Rhyme, Electric Circus, May 1991. You punch in any of that, you'll find it. And that's what started it. And I started getting calls from like people who would end up managing me and helping me actually, start my whole career. That's how it all started.
Amazing, amazing. And today you are a father.
I am, which is,
Um,
it's my favorite role that I have.
yes, yes. And I see a lot of posts about you and your daughter Melina,
Yes.
and I love them.
Thank you.
Um, what's your take on generational wealth? Knowing what you know now, from 13 years old to, I'm not going to say your age right now, but
You can say it. I mean, it was 30 years ago. I turned 44 in June.
oh, okay.
I ain't mad.
You don't look it. So
I appreciate
that
it.
comment that Facebook user has said, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you.
So yeah, what's your take on generational wealth?
Well, it's definitely important. I mean, this is something that when I was growing up, my dad sort of instilled in me, because my dad came from Spain. My mother came from Jamaica. God bless my dad. He's gone now. And, the classic immigrant stories, we had nothing when we came here. My dad didn't speak English, so, and he had come to learn a trade, as he put it. And the whole reason he had left Spain for Canada and chose Canada, he said, was for a better standard of living. So I grew up with this idea that that's sort of, the sort of job as an adult is to have a better standard of living, but also to be able to create one so that your children are able to live better than you did. And, so, he and my mom's, I mean, we lived, I mean, we weren't rich, but we lived, well in the suburbs and stuff. And he was always instilling in me the importance of education and getting a good job and all of that stuff. And I took a route that was a lot different than his, but it never was lost on me that, this life that I'm living, isn't just for me. And of course, that became more than real when I became a father. My daughter Melina actually turned 7 in a week, next week on the 23rd. And so for the past 7 years, everything that I do has her in mind. And so there's a focus on like what she is going to have to go through, to, develop her own life. When she was a baby, like right after she was born, I started RESP. So I put away money for her education. There's more than one account in her name. She's already listed as a beneficiary on like my insurance policies, things of that nature. Just and just as importantly, I support her in her dreams. She's only about to be 7, but for the past 2 years, she's had these aspirations of being a hairstylist, and she wants to own her own hair salon. Now, I knew I wanted to do music at 5 years old, so I consider her aspirations as something legitimately something to pay attention to. And so, in addition to putting money aside for her, trying to help her understand the value of money, but supporting her and knowing that, what you want to do can be accomplished as long as you really work for it. Because every day I get up putting in work to continue to do what I'm doing. So I think generational wealth has as much to do as the actual money that you set aside, as the impression you put on your children to know the importance of money and to support their goals so that they can be confident that they can achieve.
That's amazing. And I think you made a lot of good points, because a lot of it is just minor things that you can just do in your daily life right now that will help your offsprings in the future. RESPs,
Yeah. Yeah.
So on to my next question, right? You mentioned education, and I'm going to actually go there first.
Sure.
You majored in English, not English, in school?
Yeah, I was an English and mass comm major from York. I graduated from York U.
Okay.
On the East list, baby.
So how were you able to, what opportunities, I would say, you got from your writing skills?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, my writing skills sort of come into play for literally every facet of my life because, even as a musician, like as this artist, I came to realize early that it's not just about like having skills on the mic and being able to rock shows or whatever, but branding yourself and becoming a professional or proving your professionalism comes by way of how you brand yourself. So I wrote all my bios and my press releases. And I mean, today we're in a world where we're blogging and posting on social media regularly. But I also teach songwriting, and I also actually write for a variety of businesses, like as a blogger. So writing is part of my everyday. Writing is like, again, it's what I did in school. It's what I do professionally. And so it's not just so much that, having a degree in English or whatever is what got me the work. It was the passion and the drive that I had to make these opportunities for myself. Because I'll be honest, it's not like I went to school and said, I want to write for companies. I was always like, when I started at York U is when I put out my first single. So I was entering university and my professional music career in and around as a recording artist at about the same time. So it was a balancing act the whole time. And I had, everything that I did, whether it was for music or whether it was for school or what I do professionally, no matter what it is, I try to represent myself as professionally as possible. And for me, a lot of that comes through the written word. You know what I'm saying? I write lyrics, obviously, but I'm also writing, again, press release information and, emails, newsletters, and things of that nature to like push the brand. And, it's been such a major part of what I do. If if I wasn't a writer, I don't know. I don't know, I wouldn't make any money.
Definitely. So far you're able to show the world your talent, your musical talent in 1991 when it all started. Mm-hmm. You're able to show that your skills as a writer by doing various blogs and different ways you brand yourself through writing as well, and songwriting, of course.
Yeah.
Then now let's talk about teaching. Able to use the skills that you have and teach it to others. How did that all started?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you and I go back. I mean, we used to, we don't have to put it out there, but like a decade and a half ago, we were in a jobby job. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, that jobby job got to me to the point where I was like, I just can't do this. It was soul crushing. It was like I want to every day. I'm consistently thinking of something creative or something that I want to do that is creative. And when you work a job that has nothing to do with your goals, aspirations, and talents, it basically sucks. And in and around the time that I left the job where we met is when I was grateful to get an opportunity to work for the Royal Conservatory of Music in Toronto. For anyone who knows about the Royal Conservatory, it's a music school where people learn how to play instruments and stuff. And they were attempting to launch an urban program. They did in a few community centers throughout Toronto. And me and my boy Ian Kamal, shouts to Kamal, we were hired to teach songwriting classes. And even though they didn't continue with the program, I did. So I've independently been teaching hip hop songwriting for the past 15 years, in and out of schools, community centers, arts programs, even jails, all over in and around Greater Toronto. And it's been amazing because, one, yes, it's a revenue stream for me. I do earn a living being Danny O, the MC who teaches how to MC. And that alone is amazing because, you get me talking about hip hop and, I'm a blabbermouth. I'll go all day. Anything that I'm passionate about, I can talk about. But I also feel blessed that I'm able to articulate that in such a way that kids can understand it and learn. I've worked with a lot of youth who say, I can't do this when they're asked to, put together some rhymes, or we work on freestyle or something of that nature. And then within a class or two, they're ready to battle, right? And I've learned that it's not just about my ability to write and my ability to teach writing and thankfully earn an income from it. But my programs have really taught me how important it is to give kids self-confidence, or for them to gain self-confidence, for them to learn that they can do something that they said they couldn't do before. Now they know how to do it. So they feel proud of themselves. So it doesn't mean they're all going to become professional rappers or whatever, but they are going to hopefully learn that they can achieve if they put their mind to something. That's what's been really amazing about the program, in addition to it being a way for me to use my skills to earn a living.
Amazing. I think that's great. So we're going to jump into the album, the day it all changed.
Okay.
Right. I read from here and there, and I had read once that Nas had put his daughter as executive producer on the album Somatic, because he wanted her to receive royalty checks from that album, right? And from your album, The Day It All Changed, I noticed also your daughter is the executive producer on that album as well. Was that the same reason, or was there more to it?
Partly, yes. I do recall when he had listed Destiny Jones as the executive producer on Stillmatic, and I thought that was cool. And I did hear that explanation. That was sort of an inspiration, but of course, the album, The Day It All Changed, for anyone who doesn't know, there it is in the background here. That album is dedicated to my daughter. The Day It All Changed, of course, is the day she was born. Once she was born, I became a father. My whole life changed, and everything now, I see through the eyes of her dad, and I put her first in every decision that I make. So the album concept, is all about that. Every song has a different topic, but it's all under the umbrella of how I see things now that I'm Melina's dad. She's obviously on the album cover. Her voice is on the album. She's in a song. It's all about her and our relationship. So to me, it was just kind of a no-brainer to list her as the executive producer, because keeping in mind, not just what Nas did, but the idea that, this album in a way is my gift to her. It's sort of part of my musical legacy, but it's just the most important messages I've ever had to send musically or at all. And so for her to be executive producer is the equivalent of saying like she kind of oversaw this whole project and is the real reason it exists. And so, of course, the financial gain, whatever that's going to be, you know what I mean, is hers regardless. All of this is hers as far as I'm concerned. So that was somewhat of a sentimental thing to do, but yeah, at the end of the day, it is her property technically.
Yes, and I love it. I love the whole concept of it. Going back to 2013. You did, it was a freestyle. And in this freestyle, it was backyard bars.
Oh, yeah, on Back Road Radio.
Yes. And in there, you said, I might not go as far as calling myself a legend. And, we're in 2021. And this was 2013. I'm like, this guy has been in movies, commercials. He's been rapping. This was 13 years old. Yeah. I know that was 2013. Is that still how you feel today?
Well, first of all, let me say, Banki, you know how to conduct an interview. Let me just say that you have done your research, you know your stuff, and I appreciate you. Let me just say,
thank you.
That these are some questions I haven't received before. And as a lyricist and someone who prides myself on the lyrics that I write, or in this case, freestyle, I appreciate when people can pinpoint them and ask me about them. So that's real cool of you. So respect. Yeah, that was first of all, that was a freestyle on Back Road Radio back when it was on CHRY with my man Promise, my cousin Promise, Perfect Strangers. We were on there together promoting our album. And the whole concept of that freestyle, because I remember before we actually did the freestyle, there was a conversation about freestyle and what the definition of freestyle was. Does it mean rapping off the top of the dome, or is it just writing a rap that no one's heard before and spitting it? And I'm always someone who's believed that freestyle is off the dome rapping. So what I said in that moment was freestyle. It wasn't like written in advance. But to speak to what I said, to me, legends are created by fans, the audience. It's the audience who decides whether something is so-called legendary or not. This album right here, the Dear Hip Hop album, is what most people who know me from and refer to as legendary. This year, actually, we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the release of that song, which is crazy to think about. But for those who consider it legendary, or me a legend as a result of me having released that song or my longevity in the game, I'm very appreciative and I'm humbled. And I think that's why I said that, because without anyone saying that, I would never say that I'm a legend. The legends to me are the Maestro Fresh Wesses and Michie Me's and Dream Warriors of the world who, Big Kish, long before I was doing it, they were doing it and they inspired me. So I'm thankful if I'm ever considered to be in that ilk. And like I said, it's humbling. So to some degree, when I put out the anniversary album for Dear Hip Hop, I did a record called League of Legends. And Big Kish and Maestro Fresh West, Thrust, Smoke Only, Eternity, they were all in the song. So I guess in a way I did go ahead and call myself a legend after all. But really, it was the guests in the track that I was paying homage to, and in to Canadian hip hop in general. So I'm just thankful to be part of it. And anyone who thinks that, thank you.
Amazing. And I think you're a legend in my eyes.
I appreciate you, Banki. You a legend in the making. You're doing your thing.
Thank you. So
But I appreciate that.
definitely. In 2007,
Okay.
um, Dear Hip Hop, right? I listened to it. I think it's really passionate coming from you, your relationship with hip hop, your love for hip hop. And then you did hip hop, Dear Hip Hop 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you feel the need to do it 20 years later?
Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, Dear Hip Hop, I wrote when I was 17. And I heard the music. Big shout to Scam. I have to shout out Scam who produced the beat. There's no Dear Hip Hop without Scam. And he looped the pianos from The Look of Love by Ramsey Lewis. And it's just beautiful. It sounded like a love song to me. And I always let the music speak to me. And then I decide, because of the music, what lyrics belong on it. So I thought it was a love song, but at 17 years old, I, really can't say I was in love yet, or, I wasn't that dude to be writing love songs. What did I love? I loved hip hop. So I wrote a letter to hip hop. And I just think that resonated with people, especially because in the 90s, we were starting to see hip hop become commercially viable and mainstream, and people starting to make money from it, when before it was this underground culture. And so, we started talking about the difference between commercial and underground, and who was dope and who was whack. And it was almost like this world, that hip hop was, where we had to police it ourselves, and discern between the dope MCs and the whack MCs, and the people who are real and the people who are fake. So that was sort of the message I was sending to hip hop, by explaining that, you're going through some stuff now, and it seems like, things are tougher than there should. I personalize hip hop like he was my friend. I call him bro and brethren throughout the track. And I think that people, like I said, it resonated with people. In the 90s is when, the real heyday of hip hop. Real hip hop heads to this day still attach themselves to 90s hip hop and love it the way I do. So I think that's why they love the record so much. And it was my debut single. So I think that's what also helped people relate to me. They knew me because of that song. And thanks to Much Music, people like Master T and Michael Williams, God bless them, because without them, the video wouldn't have been in rotation. I wouldn't have been on TV for the rest of the country and the world to even know who I was. And so it was a big deal at the time. And because all these years later, the music industry has completely changed. I got all my vinyl and CDs behind me, but we all know that today is a streaming world. We're not even in the download era anymore. People just stream music. And in 2014, you mentioned 2007, but it was 2014, the album that I'm pointing to. This is actually a French album, a label called Surgent Records pressed my original 90s recordings to vinyl to finally release the album. Because again, Dear Hip Hop was a single. It never came out as an album. I never released it until they released it. And over here in North America, you could Spotify or Apple Music, my music, but not find Dear Hip Hop. And I thought that just didn't make any sense. So a few years later, 2016 hit, and I was like, okay, it's 20 years since Dear Hip Hop came out. I am going to re-release this album on CD. So that's the CD right above it. And of course, digitally. So now, and it was the first time ever. So the song came out in 96. It wasn't until 2017 when the album was released that Dear Hip Hop was finally available for streaming. So a 25-year-old song has only been available for streaming for, 4 years. And so that was one of my main reasons is, it had a vinyl distribution in Europe and Japan, but worldwide, maybe you had to search YouTube for the video. So now I'm earning some royalties off this song because it's being streamed more than any, more than anything, of course. That's what people look for. So I thought it made sense to do it. And like I said before, doing a 20-year anniversary album didn't just celebrate the song, but 20 years of Canadian hip hop that I was involved with, including all of the artists that I brought on the album with me, including like Mathematic and Deuce Deuce, Shaw Claire. They're all celebrating with me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done music for a while. We're approaching the 25 years of Dear Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Let's talk about acting.
Okay.
How did you transition from, doing music and going over to acting? Because I've seen you in a lot of different commercials. There's Kraft commercials, PC.
Yeah.
Cadillac commercials, and then there's movies that you've done, the TV series Broken Point, I believe.
Breakout Kings.
Breakout King. Sorry,
Mhm.
thank you for correcting me.
No sweat.
And there's other movies. There's movies and stuff that you've done in 2011, 2014. Tell us about how you transition over.
Well, getting into music, like I said, I got into, like, as long as I've been alive, I think, my mom told me, I used to sing in the crib. Like, somehow I was just always musically inclined. And to me, the whole music thing is being a performer. So being a performer on stage or being a performer in front of the camera is somewhat related. It wasn't too hard of a transition for me to say, I've done music videos and stuff. And by the way, I was acting in high school. Like, I was like acing drama classes and getting drama awards, and was even invited to be part of the school's championship improv team. I wish I was a part of it in retrospect, but I wasn't, because I was too busy recording this album, actually. And I was so focused on the music. I was laser focused. But years later, I started realizing how much the two are basically married. Again, it is performing. And as well, so many of my favorite rappers, like the Ice Cubes and Commons and Mos Defs of the world, are acting and doing very well. So I thought, let me make this transition. I've always loved it anyways. My brother and I, he's also in entertainment. My brother and I grew up watching movies. And once the movie was done, we would start acting out scenes from the movie. To this day, we still talk using movie references. So it wasn't like I never wanted to do it. I just never had given it a shot until the early 2000s, when my manager at the time, linked me with a talent agent. And then I started going on auditions. Now, at the time, I had dreads. I know that's how you remember me back when we were working together. Like, the dreadlocks sort of pigeonholed me a bit, because all of the auditions I was getting was for like rappers and DJs and that look. And those were some of my first commercials. I did like a Radio Shack commercial, a Pizza Pops commercial. Like, I was rapping in all of them. And I finally got to the point where it's like, I eventually took acting lessons, got a haircut, not just for that reason. There were some other reasons around it, but, it opened me up to being able to do more, learning how to act, or some techniques, like learning certain techniques of what I should and shouldn't be doing as an actor, helped me to grow and develop something that I was already in love with and something that I was already doing. It just took the step for me to say, okay, look, I've always loved it. I've kind of done it, in school for fun, my music videos, but now let me take it seriously. So the transition really wasn't that hard. And to me, it goes hand in hand. I love performing in whatever capacity I can. And yeah, literally 5 minutes before we started this interview, I submitted my last audition via self-tape. Like, with COVID now, I record my auditions at home. So, it's still fun and still part of my job. And I've so much more I want to do. You mentioned some of the films I've done. I've only done 3 full lengths, some short films, and a bunch of TV, and a ton of commercials. So obviously I'm looking to do more. I have more to learn and more work to do.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. So, the Godfather of Podcasting.
Okay.
You mentioned COVID, so let's dive into it. How did it all started, and how can we listen to it?
Sure. So the Godfathers of Podcasting is I was about to say new. It's a year old now. We just celebrated our first anniversary and 50th episode this month, actually, or this past month. Big shouts to my man, Donnie Da Silva and the Notorious TID. Those are my 2 partners, my fellow Godfathers of Podcasting. Firstly, let me tell you the title of the show, why it's called that, is because Donnie and Tid actually were one of the first people ever to do an online radio show in 1996. They did their first radio show broadcast on the internet. The word podcast wasn't even being used yet. And so they were among the first to do it. Many years later, it was in 2006 when I got out of that job I talked about earlier. One of the things that I ended up doing was starting a podcast with Donnie. And it was like a comedy talk show / professional wrestling and MMA interview type of show, mixed in with music and all that other good stuff. And it was a lot of fun. We did that for 6 years. And all these years later, the 3 of us have gotten back together. And it is actually because of COVID a year ago. We were all stuck at home. And the idea was like, you're at home, I'm at home. Hey, man, want to do a podcast? And I was like, okay. And a year later, we can boast being able to interview people from all walks of life within the world of pop culture, actors, singers, rappers, all kinds of, I mean, some of my favorite interviews, like I've been able to interview the Whispers personally, but I got a second opportunity to interview them last month. The Whispers are one of my favorite groups of all time. Again, there's a long list, but you can go to godfathersofpodcasting.com. That's the website. Godfathers of Podcasting on Instagram. There's a new show every week, either on a Tuesday or a Thursday. Today, actually, right after this podcast, we'll be doing a brand new episode of the Godfathers of Podcasting. We'll have Rochester, Toronto rapper actor, on the show. And it's a lot of fun because we deal with a lot of topics. This is not a wrestling or MMA show. This is an everything goes type of show. And I'll tell you this, especially over the past year where we've been dealing not just with COVID, but with a lot of social injustice and issues with racism and hatred. We discuss it, we break it down, we express our views on it. We do our best to offer assistance to those who, are struggling, sometimes even by way of just trying to, put smiles on faces. But we tackle a lot of stuff going on in the world, and as well as entertainment, and just have some fun. So, yeah, Godfathers of Podcasting, thanks for bringing it up. I'm sure they'll be very happy that you mentioned that. And yeah, so episode 51 goes tonight.
And feel free to, after the show, put in the information into the comments.
Okay, will do.
Also, before we let you go, one last question would be if you have any tips for any creator that are looking to, be an entrepreneur, basically. Okay. I'm a creator as a graphic and web designer. You, a talented person, in various aspects, writing, music, acting. What tips would you give to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur with those talents?
This is going to sound corny, but it's so true. Believe in yourself. I really that is sincerely my best advice, because, as I sit here with my music collection behind me proudly displayed, I can tell you that I've had so many naysayers and people tell me which direction I should and shouldn't be going in, how my music should sound, right on down to telling me to change my name. I've had so many different pieces of advice, as well as reasons to quit, and none of them have stopped me. I've taken different paths. In other words, I don't believe in roadblocks. I believe in detours. Sometimes you think you're going down a path and it doesn't pan out. It means just take another direction. Like I said, I went into acting, I went into podcasting, I went into teaching, but it never stopped me from doing music because I knew that was my true calling, really. And for many people in my position who find it difficult, because the game is hard, you know what I'm saying? It's tough. And for many people in that position who are finding it difficult, who maybe not making the money they think they should be making, or they're not as successful as they think they should be, they quit. And to be honest, I know a lot of quitters. Again, 30 years, you meet a lot of people who have come and gone. And I really think the main difference between me and them is that I knew exactly what my dream was, literally from 5 years old, and never let go of it, because the dream, it grows and develops over time. Okay. And so for anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, or a business person of any kind, whatever it is, I know you probably have a dream, a specific goal in mind, but know that over time that goal may shift and change, right? Like when I was a kid, when I thought about being this artist or this performer, you think about being rich and famous. And so to some people, or to a lot of people, the concept of success is that you're rich and famous. So if you're not rich and famous, you're not successful. And if you judge yourself that way, if you judge yourself through the eyes of others and you let them determine what is success and what isn't success, you'll never feel successful. I wake up every day knowing I'm not rich and famous, but the guy that I aspired to be, the artist that I aspired to be, I am. I wake up every day working at the craft that I've always wanted to work at. So the dream is still being lived. It's not like there's this one thing in life I want to do, and if I do it, that will be me having made it. It's a process. Life itself is like an ongoing story, until you're no longer here. So enjoy the process. Understand that there will be bumps in the road. Know that there will be detours, not roadblocks. You might have to change your course. You might have to stop working with certain people and work with someone else. You might even get involved in a new industry even. But believe in yourself, because no one's going to believe in you as much as you. No one's going to have your talent the way you have it. And if I didn't believe in myself, and if I didn't love it then I would have quit too. So that truly is my best advice, because it's really the only thing that I can say that I've stuck to that's kept me sticking to this, you know? So yeah, thank you for this opportunity to be able to share all that.
I think that was beautiful. Everything you said, I think it was like amazing advice, and I appreciate that. Um, what's next for Daniel before we go?
Well, Melina's 7th birthday party is what's next. So yeah, she turned 7 next week, and obviously because of COVID, this will be her second COVID birthday. So, anyways, between myself and my family, you know, we got something special for her. But professionally, I'm just working on taking my next steps as an actor. Obviously, COVID has put a real dent in the game. You know what I mean? Over the past year, I've not auditioned in person. I've done one gig, which, by the way, I'd like to shout out real quickly. Big shouts, Tammy. What's good?
Yeah,
That's some alumni right there in the building. Family. Yes, you've done great, Banki. What was I going to say? The 40 Parsecs and Some Fuel is the name of the last acting gig that I did. It is part of a series of 21 short pieces called 21 Black Futures. It's available for free streaming right now on CBC Gem. It came out on Black History Month. It's 21 short films written by 21 different Black playwrights, directed by 21 different Black directors, and acted by 21 different Black actors. And I'm very proud of this project. So please check it out on CBC Gem. It's called 40 Parsecs and Some Fuel. It's part of season 3. And so, like I said, working on furthering my skills, continuing to grow and develop. I'm writing new music all the time, so I couldn't say when the next record will be available, but just to continue to grow and develop upon what I'm doing and live that dream that I keep talking about, and hopefully inspire others to do the same. My teaching has got me to meet many amazing young artists. So there's so many more coming up from here in Toronto, and I know throughout the country. And to everybody out there, continue to support what you like, what you love, and don't worry about it if it's Canadian. Don't let that be a stereotype for you to not pay attention. There's so much amazing talent here, and there's more on the way. So yeah, again, I appreciate you letting me communicate that with everyone.
And how can anyone reach you? If anyone wanted to get in contact with you to collaborate or anything, how can they reach you?
Yeah, well, thank you for putting that up on the screen. My Instagram is Danio1010 without the dashes. Of course, spelt with the dashes. Dan-E-O.com is the website. It's all right there, actually. You answered the question with the graphic. I love you for it. Yeah. info@danio.com is my email. So you know what? Hit me up any way you choose. Obviously, today there's so many ways, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or what have you. And all of my music is streaming and available on my website, too, if you go to danio.com if you want to purchase vinyl or CDs. If you know how to spell my name, you're going to find me. I promise. Put it that way.
Well, it's been a pleasure having
Pleasure was mine.
Thank you. And yeah, I wish you much success and continuous success. And thank you for everyone who's watching. Please feel free to share Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Also, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Banki. All the best with the Takeout Effect. This is a pleasure to do. And, keep growing and building and doing your thing. Much love.
Thank you. Same here.
All right.
Bye, everyone.